Hi, Susan Elias here. Today we're going to be talking about decoding a design. What is that and why do we need to do that as a fashion designer? Well, to give you a little background on why this is important, I learned how to paint watercolor way back, and the first thing the instructor told me to do was to pick up a master's book of watercolor and pick one of the watercolors and try to duplicate it. This way, I was able to understand the strokes and the master, the creativity that he was trying to portray. And it helped me to understand and pick up techniques that were important for my painting skills. It's the same thing in fashion design. In order to be a better fashion designer, you have to do research. I used to go, and I still to this day go at least once a month, if not sooner, to stores, but high-level stores, and look at designs in the actual stores. Look at what other designers are doing, what techniques they're using in the construction process, or what other techniques are using in the design process. You can also do that by photos. It's a little bit more difficult by photo, but you can learn techniques and learn design elements that way as well. So in order to understand and become a broader designer, a more versed designer, you have to broaden your knowledge, which is researching and understanding and decoding a design. Again, I want to show you the picture first of what we're going to decode, the design. Here's a picture of John Legend and Christy Teigen. Christy Teigen is wearing it looks like a top, but it's really not just a top. It's a top / outer garment. But we're going to decode this design on the flat now. So let's get started. Okay, here we are. I have this on the corkboard so you can see hopefully the design as you can. She's wearing, like I said, he's obviously wearing a jacket. That means it's cold out there. The child is wearing a jacket as well. So whatever she's wearing has to be on a thicker fabric because she's not wearing anything under it. Maybe a little tank top, that's all she could probably get underneath there without detecting it. So it's a heavy fabric. It's more of an outer fabric. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just decode it from top to bottom. And I'm going to start from the top. We know that it's pulling away from her bust. We know that it looks like it might even be slightly off the shoulder here. I'm not thinking that this is really bad or off the shoulder. What I'm thinking is because she's obviously not wearing probably a bra underneath there, and she's pretty large busted, so it's actually spreading. It's spreading the design, so it's kind of pushing the design to either shoulder, if you can see. But it has a nice little wrap. It's not a full wrap because a full wrap would go all the way over here. It's a semi-wrap top or jacket, whatever you want to call it. But it has a nice neckline as well, and it is tacked by what looks like a very large either hook and eye or some kind of device. We don't really know what's going on underneath. So we're going to start from the top again. We have a nice neckline. It's nice and smooth. And that's sort of, because it's curved, it's indicating to me that it's not just fold under, that there has to be stitching behind this curved line in order to make that neckline. Next, like I said, the shoulder looks like it might be too big for her. She might be small in the shoulder width, but I really think it has to do with it spreading here because of her bust size. Okay, so now we're going to go to the sleeve. The sleeve is really, really cool. That's actually the reason why I took this design out to decode, because I think it's a very cool design. Here, the first thing you want to see is that it looks like she's wearing shoulder pads. Why do we know that? Because if you look really close, you can see here above the seam that there is a hard material kind of poking out of that sleeve area. So there is a shoulder pad in there that's kind of filling this area right there. And that's pretty obvious in outer garments. So it's not normally something you would see in a blouse itself. So that also indicates that it's a thicker fabric and it's more of an outer garment / top. Okay, and then the sleeve. We don't see any gathers, just a little bit of, how can I say, ease to make the cap of this shoulder seam. So the cap of the sleeve and the armhole of the top is showing that there's a little bit of ease going here, but it's kind of manipulated in such a way so it doesn't even look like gathers. So there's no gathers here, but yet there's a big fullness that's going on this sleeve. And it's also very, very long, which is kind of a cool look. It's longer than a normal sleeve would be. So I'm anticipating that this sleeve is on the flat an actual shape that's drawn in like that, because there is no seam here. It is not gathered here, and I'm anticipating that this is turned under because it is a straight line, and maybe it's going all the way up here to make this very firm. So this is a shape on the sleeve that's making that wonderful sleeve design, which I think is super cool. Here you can also see on the bottom that it looks like there must be a facing. There's always going to be a facing, whether the entire garment is doubled on the front or not, but we can see that it has a facing, and we know the facing is this wide on the bottom. Usually that same facing will be like this on the top, and maybe either go all the way to the shoulder level so you do not see a line, because I do not see a line, or it could be this small and we just are lucky in not seeing a line. And the bottom of this, like I said, there's an indication here of it pulling, because it might be a little bit snug on her, and it's also a thick fabric, and we don't know what's going on underneath, but something is securing the other half of this because it's pulling on this side as well. Exercise to start looking at designs, decoding the designs, and learning from them. Okay, we did it. We decoded our design. So I hope you go out there and explore and check out new designs in the stores or magazines and start to decode your own design so that you can become a better fashion designer. All right, thank you so much for watching this episode. My channel is Susan Elias Couture or Fashion Unfolded. My website is www.eliascouture.com. Ask me a question because you know I'm going to answer it. Thank you. Bye-bye.